Alright, EMS and emergency services are coming out. They're gonna go get him. He's about 3 miles down the road.
These gunshots are getting really sketchy. It almost sounds like they're getting closer to us. I'm actually a little worried. I'm a little scared right now.
What are you shining your light for? Where's your phone? No!
Philly and Keely have been living the van life dream for over 6 years, traveling the world in their self-built vans, embracing freedom, nature, and adventure. But even with all that experience, one night in Greece nearly broke them.
Welcome back. Welcome to a sunny Greece.
Sunny but very cold.
Yes, do not be fooled by this weather. It is extremely cold.
But today, guys, we are going to check out a place called Meteora, and it is meant to be the coolest thing to see in Greece. We're going to check that place out. It's meant to be super cool, so I'm excited to hit the road.
We parked on the outskirts of it in this boulder field, which is really cool because we could do some climbing. But now it's time to go in. I'm excited to bring you guys along as well because it's meant to be beautiful.
Greece is a country we haven't really explored, so we're both quite excited to check it out. We have heard that it's got some insane, obviously we've already seen mountains, forests, like really diverse geological situations, so we're excited to check it out.
They'd spent the day exploring, soaking in the beauty and history. But by nightfall, they parked up in a quiet spot and settled in to rest. Then, in the middle of the night, banging, flashlights.
What are you shining your light for?
Where's your phone?
No! You're not police!
Am I coming in the front with you?
I don't know, I just can't see anybody anymore. They're just all of a sudden gone.
They just appeared out of
Bushes. They kept like telling me to open the door.
No, there he is there.
Where?
There's somebody in front of us over to the right.
People were outside, yelling that they were the police. But Philly and Keely knew something was off. They weren't real police. Instinct took over. Philly jumped into the driver's seat. Keely stayed in the back, filming in case something happened. They drove off and found a new place to park, heart still racing.
Where?
There's somebody in front of us over to the right.
Sorry.
It's okay.
You think I was just gonna open the door?
He was trying the handle.
I know, that's when I knew it wasn't the police.
Yeah.
So now, we're just kind of stranded on the side of a road.
To give a little context, we'd been looking at park for night in this area. There's some hot springs, like we said, we wanted to come to hot springs. And we had read loads of horror stories on the park for nights. But then we knew other people who had been here, we messaged and they were like, no, it felt totally safe. And you know, it's out of season. So we've had, where we've read park for nights before and had wonderful experiences. This was not that situation.
Alright guys, we parked up significant distance away from that other park up, but what can I say?
I'm really annoyed. Guys, the thing is for me, right, is the absolute audacity that they kept trying to get in the van and kept demanding that we open the van to them. And I'm like, what was their plan? Did they have a weapon? Were they trying to, like, how were they planning to steal everything while we were both here? Like,
well, I think we just did the right thing. We just jumped in and drove away, so it's just annoying because it's something that it does kind of set you back, especially us as well, because this has happened to us quite a lot and we did actually get robbed. And it's just annoying because we've always had that fear in our heads, and when something like this happens, it just brings everything right back to the surface. And then there's going to be a healing process. It's going to just take time before you feel safe in the van again, you know.
The next morning, they reflected on how differently things could have ended. If they had opened the door, what would have happened? This experience shook them. Even seasoned travelers were left questioning everything.
but I'm not gonna lie, I didn't sleep very well. Usually I would say break-ins are crimes of opportunity, but this wasn't an opportunity. They knew we were in the van and they chose to keep trying to get in the van. They did not give a shit that we were in the van, and I think for me that shows that they were willing to be violent. And the situation is, what would have happened if we were naive enough to think maybe it is the police, I'll open the door and see what they want? Yeah, it's not some randomer that comes out of a bush banging on your van trying to get into your van. So my concern is, if we were naive and we opened the door, they would have had to physically attack us to rob us. Their plan was to rob us, and the only way you could do that with us there is to attack us. And that's the thing that shook me, guys. It wasn't an opportunistic smash and grab. It was, I'm willing to violate you to get into your home and take your things, and that is so effed up.
Avery had set up camp deep in the woods, far from any roads or people, expecting a quiet night alone, surrounded by nature. But as she settled into her tent and began to drift off to sleep, unsettling noises echoed from the woods around her.
Y'all, I just woke up. Listen to this. What the fuck is that noise? Sounds like the chupacabra. Or Bigfoot. Like he's angry. Do monkeys in Costa Rica wake the whole town up with these noises?
They were distant at first, but then seemed to get closer. The sounds didn't resemble any animals she was familiar with. In fact, they didn't sound natural at all. Confused and unnerved, Avery eventually stepped outside with her camera, hoping to capture something that would explain what she was hearing.
That is not an angry dog. What the fuck is that? It's been making that angry noise for an hour now, and it just gets closer and closer. What the fuck? It's like Godzilla is here. What is that? The chupacabra? I've got no sleep tonight. And I almost fell asleep. And then I started hearing that noise.
As she moved around the campsite, the noises grew louder, more aggressive, and far more alarming. Even the surrounding wildlife seemed to react, going silent one moment and restless the next.
Oh, this noise is literally getting closer, as if it's like right outside the gate. Is that an angry fucking gorilla? It's coming from right over there. That's the way you gotta walk to the beach. And I was gonna take a nice walk over there this morning to the beach. I'm not going over there now. Because what the fuck is that? It's fucking terrifying. Whatever can make that noise can probably rip my fucking face off. But it's been making that noise. Oh my god.
She continued to film, the tension thick in the air, until the video ends abruptly, offering no answers. Just the question of what exactly was lurking in the forest that night.
Oh my god.
Matt shares his love for the outdoors through his adventures in camping, fishing, and exploring. But one particular trip left him deeply shaken.
about car camping adventures across the west coast of British Columbia. Today, we're gonna be car camping. We're gonna play some basketball. We're gonna go have some fun with some friends. We're gonna be cooking up with the jet boil, nice little meal planned up, do a little bit of fishing. What? I got a fish. Oh, I think he let go, man. Dude, I had a fish.
After spending the day running errands and meeting a friend to play basketball and fish, they eventually made their way to a remote campsite to settle in for the night. Everything started off as expected. A fire was lit, food was shared, and the peacefulness of the wilderness began to set in. But that peace didn't last.
These guys shooting guns is a little sketchy. Sketchy. Blast of 4 or 5 every time. It's gone on like 7 or 8 times. We're relatively close. Oof. Oh God. And your doors don't lock?
Well, I like to close my windows.
Okay. I think we're gonna be good. I got an axe with me. Oh. Did you guys hear that? These gunshots are getting really sketchy. It almost sounds like they're getting closer to us. I'm actually a little worried. I'm a little scared right now. It's really loud. Now I hear really fast driving. Okay, I'm gonna get in my car. That is way too sketchy. Sounds like there's a car that just flew across the bridge, gun in it, with an exhaust of some sort. Whoa, my heart's beating. That's freaky.
In the distance, they began to hear gunshots, faint at first, but then growing closer. Soon after, the sound of a car nearby put Matt even more on edge. He decided it was best to retreat to his vehicle, covering his windows and setting up his bed inside, all while feeling an overwhelming sense of unease.
I haven't even been able to set up my bed yet. Gunshots keep going off. I feel too sketched out to sleep. There's like cars. One shoe off. Slide it in there. Another shoe can come off. Keep it down below. I do have window covers. Kind of feeling lazy. But like that. Those are my insulated window covers, blackout.
Although the night passed without incident, the experience left him questioning what exactly had been happening in those woods, and why anyone would be firing gunshots so deep into the night in such an isolated place. Coyne and Victoria gave up everything for a dream, to build a quiet life within nature. But their peaceful new start took a disturbing turn during one ordinary walk on their land in southeastern Arizona. The couple had headed out for the day to do some work and explore.
We're out here today on the property trying to find the last corner marking of the first 5-acre parcel we're going to develop, and we're doing it by sight because it's kind of fun getting to not hide and seek, but kind of hunt for something. And we're using some trees and some foreground and background, like using a tree with something behind it out here to figure out our straight line. And we just realized a tree is going to block our view, so now we're going to have to use this new tree as our reference point. But yeah, we're having fun. It's so neat out here. It's like we're giants in a forest.
Kinda.
You know what I mean?
But as they wandered the trail, something strange caught their attention. A bone lying half buried under a tree. Odd, but not alarming, until a few steps later, they spotted a child's backpack and a single small shoe.
We found, first we found a couple pesos and we were like, that's cute, washed away from Mexico.
Like I was just walking, I kept finding stones, and then all of a sudden I like looked down and I thought it was an Apple AirTag, and it was
2 pesos.
2 pesos from like 98 and
92. And then we found like
nobody's ever lived here. That's what
no one's lived here before. This is totally undeveloped land. And then Coin was walking around and he was like, this feels really heavy. And then I shit you not, we looked at this tree that had like some kind of nest under it. Well, we're going back towards it, so I'll take a video. But and then he found a bone on it, and I'll have to take a picture of that bone. But it could be like either a tiny fibula or a tiny femur.
So we just found a little kid's backpack, like a kid-sized backpack, which wouldn't like be too alarming or anything, but it's like in the wash. And a little while ago, just randomly walking through here, we found 2 pesos, like 2 peso coins, and we found a little kid's shoe. So I'm like, hopefully somebody's stuff got accidentally washed down from the wash, but I really, really hope we don't find like something gruesome in the area on the new property, because that would suck pretty bad. So it would be different if it was just the shoe. So we found a little kid's shoe, we found a little kid's backpack, and we found this bone under that tree.
Who knows though? Sorry, buddy. That was you and that happened. That's fucking rough, dog. Oh, how do I make this big? Coin just saw these bones right here.
More bones, and not when we were looking either. Like we're walking. I think this is a deer.
Those are deer bones?
Hopefully.
Hope so.
Oh, yeah. It doesn't look like a...
Doesn't that look like a really clean cut there?
Oh, shit, yeah, it does.
Tension began to rise. The questions flooded in. What had happened here? Was it something recent? Or something much darker? And then more bones, larger this time, sprawled beneath another tree. The couple paused. The air felt heavier. The silence felt deeper. They examined the items carefully. The bag looked ripped. The bones, weathered but unsettling. No one lived nearby. No one should have been here.
It's only like the 4th or 5th time we've been here on the property, and we're looking for like, you know, GPS coordinates and stuff. Yeah, and we happened to come across some weird stuff. Like we found a little kid's shoe.
Well, first we found some pesos, or Coin found some pesos.
I was walking and found 2 pesos, like just randomly out in the middle. Like we're in the Sonoran Desert, 20 acres, never lived on, out in the middle of nowhere, and found 2 pesos. And then found a kid's shoe. Like, it looks like it's at least like a couple of years old. Found a Puma.
Small backpack, like a kid's size backpack.
Yeah.
For like, I don't know, an elementary school kid, like a kid.
Yeah, it's like a little kid's backpack, and it's been like cut through, and it was weird because like you could tell it had been cut. Like
on the front pocket.
The way it like deteriorated, that didn't match. It like was cut. And then we found a bone, which like totally could have been a little kid's like femur bone or something. And then found some other bones, but those look like they might have been deer, but one of them was cut.
We're hoping they're deer, but it was cut like
clean. Yeah, so we'll see. Like I'm just gonna talk to some border agents at the RV park that we're staying at, and if they think it's worth it, I'll grab that other bone and go test it. But it's weird. Like it's really hard for me to not.
And it was weird vibes.
They reported everything to an agent, and soon met with an officer to guide them through the discovery. But so far, no answers. Coin and Victoria held on to hope that it was all from an animal. But with the child's belongings lying so close, something didn't sit right. And sometimes, when you're deep enough into the wilderness, the truth gets lost in the silence. Mimi is no stranger to van life or the wilderness. Her days are usually filled with peaceful views and quiet moments. But this trip was different. What started as a calm, solo getaway quickly spiraled into something that ended with flashing lights and emergency services.
Okay, I'm done being a bum, at least for a little while. I'm gonna go get my steps in. Ooh. I moved just a little bit so I can get some more sun. Solar panel, not that there's been much today. It's been an overcast day. I don't know why I'm so freaked out. I feel like, what if it's a driveway or something? And I'm gonna keep going, but... Okay, so now I'm at the part where you can't see where you came from. And you can't see where you're going. Okay, so I've already walked about a quarter mile. Getting pretty deep in the forest with no signal.
She began her morning the way many dream of, waking up to a quiet, scenic view from her camper van. She cooked some food, watched a little TV, and planned to make the most of her day with a long hike into nature. With each step, she wandered further from camp and further from signal. But something made her pause. Deep in the woods, she spotted fresh footprints, not hers. And then came the sounds. Faint, strange, wrong.
Those aren't my shoe prints. And they're pretty fresh. They're pretty fresh. I'm trying to be funny about it, but also I'm like a little bit like low key. Come on. Turn around. We're going back. I definitely came back way quicker than I went down. No reason, I wasn't scared. It started getting real weird. Weird sounds. So, 360. Or wait, 180.
Something didn't feel right. She turned back, heading straight for the safety of her van. Later, after nightfall, she set up a fire and settled in with some food, comforted by the flicker of the flames. That peace didn't last. A car pulled up. A woman stepped out. She explained she'd driven 4 hours after receiving a strange call from her son. He'd said he felt unwell, asked her to pick him up, and then went silent. No replies, no calls, no trace.
Hi,
Hey,
how you doing?
I'm a little lost and I'm hoping maybe you can kind of help me.
Yeah, what's up?
So my kid he's 20,
Uh-huh.
but he was hiking around the Linville Gorge and this is telling me to turn here and go obviously through that gated area, which doesn't look like a thing,
Yeah, no.
to get to his pen. He pinned me there.
Okay, well I'm assuming you did a trail, right? Like a marked trail.
Yeah, but he said he was like on the side of a road and he's throwing up. And he's like, come get me. And I just drove from Raleigh
Oh, dang.
in my work clothes.
Oh my gosh, so you really are?
Yeah, I was like, I'll be right there.
Oh god, yeah, that's far. Okay.
Do you have-
Well, we've got quite the situation. Apparently, down that road that I was just walking down, about 2.5 miles, her son is very sick and needs her to come get him, but she can't get past the gate. And there's no other entrance way because I just hooked up my Starlink to see. There's no other way down there than through that gate, which is very locked. So she's calling 911 now to see if they can come help.
Desperate and unable to reach him, she called emergency services. Sirens eventually pierced the stillness of the night. Flashlights cut through the darkness. Search teams arrived. And hours later, her son was found and taken home.
All right, EMS and emergency services are coming out. They're gonna go get him. He's about 3 miles down the road. Well, we're thinking this guy has the key to unlock the gate, so realistically you wouldn't need EMS services because she can go get him, but this guy's apparently really sick down there. She said he's not one to complain. He's been hiking for maybe 2 days He was going to set up camp about 2 more miles down, but then he started getting real sick and throwing up a lot. And he called his mom all the way from Raleigh. She drove a little over 4 hours to get here. She's still in her work clothes. So I told her to sit with me at the fire to stay warm at least, but she's so nervous. I understand why. I mean, my gosh. Would you look at that? I don't really know what to do with myself. They're all kind of leaving right now. Bye-bye. Have a nice evening. The fire's going out. They ended up just letting her take her son. He's in the car with her right there. They're gonna go probably home because he doesn't want to go to the hospital. I don't blame him. But yeah.
The woods may feel empty, but strange things hide in the silence. For Mimi, this trip was a chilling reminder. Sometimes, you're not as alone as you think. Madeline had been living solo in her van, sharing peaceful adventures on the road with her followers. But one night, that peaceful journey took a terrifying turn. The video begins around 9 p.m. She's driving, trying to explain what happened, but she's too shaken to focus. She stops recording, finds another place to park, and later explains the ordeal. Madeline had spent a few nights at the same rest stop, but this night felt different. A truck driver kept pulling in, parking, leaving, again and again. It woke her, made her uneasy.
1:30 in the morning. I'm at a rest stop right now. Tonight was absolutely insane. I'll try to explain what happened, and if I don't explain it right, I'll just do it again tomorrow. For the last couple nights that I have been at that hot spring, there have been trucks like coming and going, and I haven't thought much of it. I was like a little bit weirded out because last night there was a truck that was like kind of being weird. He would like park for a little bit and then drive around and then park and then drive around, like being really loud, and it kept waking me up. That's why I remember it so well. And he would like leave his headlights on, which are really bright out there because it's super dark. But I was like, whatever, like he's not bothering me. Then another truck comes. I don't know if it's the same person or if it's a different person, but a truck comes. I'm like, whatever, maybe this is just like what they do.
Then another truck arrived, or maybe it was the same one. She let her dog out briefly, but then loud yelling and strange voices filled the night air. Her anxiety spiked. Then the truck began circling her van, the engine roaring on the icy ground.
So I let Athena out to go to the bathroom, and then when I let her back in, I hear like really loud talking, and I'm just thinking like, oh, like, I don't know, there's these people talking out there. But then I start to like listen to what he's saying, and he's like yelling, and he's like, are you scared? You should be scared. Are you spooked? You should be. Like, but like in a really mean voice and like really loud, because I can hear him and he's not that close to me. So he's like screaming it. I wasn't scared until he was like screaming that. I don't even know what he was talking about. Anyway, then he starts driving like a maniac. He like skirts out, and it's snowing, by the way. It's like super snowing and icing, and he's like driving all around, and he like circles around my van. Okay, so he circles around my van, and then he keeps going. And at this point, I've got the keys. Like, as soon as I heard it, like, he was like screaming, I like grabbed my keys. As soon as I didn't see his lights anymore, I just like booked it out of there.
Madeline grabbed her phone, keys, and tried to find another rest stop. She knew she couldn't stay. She left, adrenaline pumping, fear setting in. She drove over potholes, panicking, and lost her spare tire along the way. When she finally reached the freeway, it was blocked by a fence.
So I go 3 miles down this like random road, and there's these potholes, and I don't notice them right away, and it's too late by the time I notice them, and I bottom out so bad that my spare tire falls off of my van. And then I reach where I'm supposed to turn onto the freeway, and there's a fence. It's fenced off. So I have to turn back around. I finally make it out onto the freeway. I'm going to talk about animals being hurt, and so if you want to skip this part, I'll put like a timestamp, like, yeah, where you could skip to. And there's just like dead bunnies like all along this road, and it's so heart-wrenching and sad.
As if things couldn't get worse, she turned back. Eventually, she made it onto the freeway, only to find the road scattered with dead rabbits. Exhausted, she finally found another rest stop and settled for the night. Being on the road alone means trusting your instincts. And that night, her instincts may have saved her life.